Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Silver Creek Nurseries is here in Ontario, and they specialize in fruit trees, mainly for the home garden, but they do produce the quantities for, of course, larger orchards. Now, they're located in Wesley, Ontario. Their phone number is 519-804-6060. That's 519-804-6060. They carry varieties that you just can't find. If you're doing a heritage orchard, or if you're doing a heritage landscape, or you just want some great apples and other fruit for your home orchard or just your garden, then this just might be the source. Now, they do sell potted ones. They also do bare root. And I'm going to recommend the bare root because you can get them spring and fall on most of the varieties. And, of course, get them planted right away. And it's cheaper to ship them. The potted ones you actually have to pick up. Now, apples are done on different dwarfing understocks. And there's semi-dwarf, dwarf, and super dwarf. Now, this means size of the fruit tree. When we're talking about apples, the super dwarfs are going to only ever reach 4 to 6 feet tall, but they're going to require staking, possibly espaliering, put them on a fence or a wall, or even in a container with supports. The dwarf ones can be done the same way. They are 25% less than the full-sized apple trees. And, of course, semi-dwarf is going to be 75% of full size. So, it depends on which way you want to go. But in most cases, you want dwarf or super dwarf. Now, there are, in the back, you're going to have a hard time picking out which apples because they're all so fantastic. But in the back of the catalog is an appendix. In fact, there's actually several. And they do apples by hardiness zone. So where you live determines which apples you can pick out from. So if you need an apple to grow in zone 3A, they have well over a dozen varieties that they grow that you could grow in your garden. If you go down into zone 4A, which is a large area, particularly along the northern lakes and along the Great Lakes, you're going to have no problems growing about 20 or 25 of them. But if you're really getting into the more tender areas, such as in Niagara, then you're going to get into the zone 5A. And they're in that 5A, there's several of the apples that I love, of course, Galas and Fugees, the Golden Delicious. All of these are a little more tender, but they're great, great apples. You can also then go to the ripening list and pick out apples that actually ripen for you anywhere from late July all the way to late October. And that will help an awful lot because when you don't want to be out there in the snow picking your apples. So that is the next list that you'll hit. Then there's a list of apples by use. And in this, there's apples for fresh eating. There's apples for cooking, apples for cider, and apples for preserving. Then the final list, and that is disease-resistant apples. This is a lot more important these days with the fewer and fewer pesticides available to the homeowner. Then you're going to find the disease-resistant apples are also listed in this appendix, number 4. So what you want to do is go there and take a look. So I'll give you a couple examples of apples, and then we'll move on to some of the other fruit that they also carry. Now, they're not always available. As a result, you better get in there quick, get what you can, and then next year try again. Apples require 2 different varieties that bloom at the same time in order to pollinate. And they have to be, let's say, both in your backyard or both in the front yard, etc., within a reasonable distance. I think it's 40 feet is the average distance that a bee will fly in a medium windy day, so let's go with that one. There's a couple here. The least hardy of the apples that I saw in the list out there is the Cox Orange Pippin. It's been around since the 1800s. It's considered one of the best fresh-eating apples ever, and it's only hardy to zone 5B. It's the least hardy. But there are others. There is Debonair. Now, this is hardy to zone 5. It's a cider apple, late October. It's an English cider apple, so you're going to produce some really good single variety cider. So it's not a mixture of different apples to make the cider. The fruit is small, it's medium-sized, it's speckled red skin. It's very resistant to scab and reliable cropper. What more can you ask for? Here's one I thought that was rather interesting, mainly because of its name. Opus Spitzenberg. Okay, hardy to zone 5. It's for fresh, cider, or cooking. It ripens in mid-October, and it's a heritage American variety that supposedly Thomas Jefferson loved this particular variety. It is one of the parents of Jonathan apples, and it is from Espus, Ulster County, New York, and it existed before 1790. So this apple's been around a little while. It is very high complex flavor, high in acid. It's a medium-sized fruit, bright red. It keeps with good flavor until March. What more can you ask? There's Fugees here, of course. Everybody knows Fugees. And Gala's the original. They believe that this one is the original strain of Gala. So well worth picking up. There is others like Kingston Black, which is more of a vintage cider apple as well. But there's many, many, many more of these ones. Let's see if we can do one more. How about Winter Banana? Now, this is a fresh eating. It ripens in early October. It's a heritage variety. The skin is yellow with a red blush, and the aroma is that of bananas. It is, the flesh is sweet with some acid tang. I like that one. That sounds good, right? It's an apple. If you're interested in crab apples, they have those as well. Now, the crab apples are not the ones you get in the trees out front. These are the edible ones. There's Dolgo, Haraldsson, okay? And when you see one with an H in it, it means it probably came out of Harrow. But in this case, it was developed by the University of Minnesota in the early 1900s. It's very cold hardy. And the skin is striped red with russet dots. Its flesh is white, juicy, and a pleasant flavor. It's hardy to zone 2B. That's what you'll like about the crab apples. There are several other kinds as well. In the apricots, most of these are, of course, the ones that I grew up with. Goldcott, Moore Park, Vicott. These are ones that have been around for a long time as well. The Harlane, which is another one, is for fresh for canning. It ripens in late August. It's cold hardy. It is from Harrow Research Station in Ontario and tolerates minus 30 degrees Celsius. So even in the winters that we're having, you would be fine with this one. And an apricot that's that hardy, that's excellent. The fruit is medium-sized and freestone, and that's important. It has some resistance to brown rot, bacterial spot, and perennial canker. It does require a pollinator, so you're going to have another one. Tilton is another one, and it's for freezing or canning. It ripens in July. It's only hardy to zone 5. It's a late bloomer. And you want to avoid late frost, and so don't plant this where you're susceptible to a late frost as well. So that's important. Sweet, tart flavor. it is best suited for preserving. There are others. There's cherries. And what they've done is there's a compact Stella and a compact Van. Now, these are the dark black cherries. They're a little more compact in their habits. A typical mature height on the Van cherry, this is compact Van, is 8 to 10 feet. That's not bad. As is with compact Stella. Because a lot of the sweet cherries just get so big. Like Heidelfingen. Or straight Stella. So I would recommend you try those two and see what happens as well. It is also, Stella is also self-fruitful, but it is also an excellent pollinator for other varieties such as Bing. Okay? So it's one that won't take up as much room. There's sour cherries as well. Asian pears. Peaches. Now, the peaches are all tougher varieties. There's Harrow Diamond, which is really quite a nice Red Haven type, not Red Haven, but type of peach. Resistant to bacterial spot and brown rot. Excellent. End of July for ripening. Hardy to zone 5. Red Haven's been around a long time. Reliance is another one. It's reliable. Okay, it's shown to be fruitful even after minus 32 degrees Celsius winters. So, good. Freestone Pit, bright yellow flesh, ripens in early August and resistant to bacterial leaf spot. There are others as well. Now, pears, they also do, and there's a lot of them here. But there's one that everybody seems to really like, and that's Flemish Beauty. It's cold hardy to zone 3, late September, ripening. It's very popular. It's large without much neck, which I guess that's better, actually. Greenish yellow, sweet, juicy, and keeps for a month or two. So that's a good one. The other one that I saw here was Doinen de Commis. Excuse my old French. It is an old French variety dating from 1849. It's considered one of the finest fresh-eating pears. Its fruit is medium in size with pale yellow skin, juicy, pale yellow flesh. It needs to ripen off the tree for about a month. Okay? Which means that after you finish picking it, you get to ripen it up somewhere. So you're going to need a cool basement for that as well. There are many other pears, and most of them are really quite tough, usually around zone 3, but there are a couple that are zone 5 as well. Plums, well, we all know Damson Plum, early Italian, Green Gage, Burbank, late Italian, Ozark Premier, Santa Rosa, Shiro, Stanley. They're all here, plus many others like Toka, Wynetta, Yakima, and of course Friar. So you're going to need to really go through the book and see, because you're going to go, oh, I want that one, I want this one, I want that one. And that is something that even I do as well. So, and they have quinces. Now, this is not the bush quince, these are the tree quinces as well. So I want you to go and check them out. They are Silver Creek Nurseries. And their website is, of course, silvercreeknursery.ca. And they believe in fruit trees for everyone. And Wesley, Ontario, it's not that far. It's a good drive for most people in Ontario. Basically, you're going to find that it's up near, it's other side of Kitchener and Waterloo. Okay, up just off of 7 and 8, and it's before Stratford and London. So, in between there, and you're going to find that it's sort of centrally located in southwestern Ontario. Silver Creek Nurseries, please check them out and enjoy for many more years to come the fruits of your labor. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.